Yes, Hempfest. I am a travel writer. And for me, High is a place. It's a beautiful place. It's a place where my speakers sound better. It's a place where suddenly I'm a good cook.
Next year will be good.
Where conversations slither around like stray cats, and then once in a while I like to go there, and a lot of people do. Now, there are cases when our government can say we can't go someplace. But if they say we can't go there, there better be a good reason. And as far as I'm concerned, there's no good reason for our government to tell us we cannot go to that beautiful place. Today, 80,000 Americans are in jail because they wanted to go to that place called High. I believe that the responsible adult recreational use of marijuana is a civil liberty. Now, I'm not promoting marijuana. It's a drug. It's not healthy. It can be abused. It can be addictive. It's certainly not for kids. And if you're caught driving intoxicated by anything, as far as I'm concerned, they should throw the book at you. But that doesn't deny the basic principle that enjoying marijuana is a civil liberty. Now, our government is waging a war, a long, losing, expensive, demoralizing war against marijuana based on fears and lies. It's demoralizing our police force. It's eroding and corroding necessary credibility among parents and teachers to teach their children how to get through the threats of hard drug abuse in their young years. It's wasting billions of dollars, and it's messing up literally hundreds of thousands of lives. 800,000 Americans were arrested last year for marijuana. They're not rich white guys. They're poor people and people of color and people who cannot go through life with that burden. This is a scourge on our society, and it's time that we have a new approach. Now, I inject a European perspective to this, and in Europe, a joint is about as exciting as a can of beer. Europe has its drug abuse problems, we have our drug abuse problems, but in Europe, they measure the effectiveness of their drug policies not by how many people do you lock up, but by a concept called harm reduction. How do you minimize harm that this drug causes to a society? And they found that if you take the crime out of the equation, take the violence, take the money out of the equation, then it becomes a health concern and an education challenge. My friends in Europe constantly remind me that a society has to make a choice. Tolerate alternative lifestyles or build more prisons. Here in the United States, we've decided to opt for the latter. And my friends in Europe always follow up that comment by reminding me that we here in the United States lock up more people than anybody else in the world. We lock up 8 times as many people per capita as the Europeans do. Either we are inherently more criminal or there's something messed up about our laws. Now, our drug policy is based on fear and misinformation. For how long has our government been spending money on reefer madness propaganda? Consequently, there's a whole bunch of people that are really afraid. There's a lot of people that think there's a whole reservoir of people that just wish they could ruin their lives if only it was legal. Well, in Europe, they've learned that there is not that reservoir of people that would use marijuana if only it was legal. In Portugal, they decriminalized the consumption of all drugs 10 years ago. They just did a review of that policy, and you know, they like it. Use does not go up, the crime is out, it becomes a little more boring, and life goes on. There's a lot of Americans that are also afraid of this gateway drug notion. One toke of marijuana and you're on the way to heroin addiction. Well, Europe has learned it's not the case. In the Netherlands, it's been 25 years since they arrested somebody for smoking marijuana. And what they've found is that there's not an increase in hard drug use. Their drug-taking population is staying the same in numbers, and it's getting older in demographics. Because people who want to experiment with drugs, which is something that kids do, they do it in their 20s, and then they get over it, and they get back on with other kind of things that are exciting to them. And it's just a way of life in Europe. And the only thing gateway about marijuana is its illegality, because when it's illegal, people have to buy it from criminals in the street who have a vested interest in getting you hooked on something that's more addictive and more profitable. We need to take a hard look at our drug laws, and it's so exciting to have a celebration like this. Hempfest is a great celebration of cannabis culture, but I'll tell you, if we want to legalize this, we got to mobilize. We got to get serious. we got to stop preaching to the choir and take it out to the suburbs where people are afraid of this stuff. We have hard-working advocacy groups. I'm a board member of Normal. I've been that for 10 years. These groups are fighting a dogged and difficult campaign on each of our behalves. They're not charities, they're services, and they're doing our work for us. And you know, there's some initiatives going on. I am so proud to be a co-sponsor of initiative I-502. Now, I know that this discourages and disappoints a lot of idealists that want marijuana to be completely free and legal, but that's not going to pass in the voting booth. That would pass here, but it's not going to pass out there. We need something pragmatic as a first step. Please learn about this. This is a smart law. This is a law that has elected officials behind it. This is a law that's not scary. It deals head-on with the reasons Prop 19 failed. And if we can stay together, we can pass this thing. I-502 has a booth, 100 yards right over there. You'll see it. I'm over there later on today. We'd love to get volunteers to get out there and get signatures. We got to get 240,000 signatures to get this thing on the ballot. And trust me, once it's on the ballot, it will pass. Most people out there want to know about driving problems, and they want to know about how you're going to retail and all these boring facts. This is our first step towards legalizing marijuana. It's going to happen in Washington, and then you can tell your grandchildren you helped change those laws. That's exciting. Now, we're at a crossroads in our society. Think about the 1930s when courageous people were stepping up about the laws against alcohol and saying, you know, this law is causing more problems than it's helping. And Mayor LaGuardia said back in the 30s, if you got a law in the book that you don't intend to enforce consistently across the board, the very existence of that law erodes respect for law enforcement in general. Today, we've got a law in the books that is eroding respect for law enforcement. They got no intention of enforcing it. If they locked us all up, tomorrow would be one less interesting, less creative place to call home, wouldn't it? I want you to know that I'm a hard-working, kid-raising, church-going, tax-paying citizen of the United States, and if I work all day and want to go home and smoke a joint, that's my civil liberty. If you agree with that, get with us, make a difference. We've got a window with I-502, all right? And then we can get beyond hard on drugs and soft on drugs, and as a society, we can be smart on drugs, all right? Thank you very much. Happy travels, even if you're just staying home. All right.
All right, Rick Steves, travel host, an activist extraordinaire, and a proud sponsor of Seattle Hempfest.